Hey, good morning, and welcome to the Utopian Cafe. It's Friday, August 13th. Of course, we got Stan Phillips. Stan, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
We're gonna get into a couple things here in a couple seconds. Field of Dreams. We're gonna talk about the Mets sweep, but very quick preview of the weekend in the Utopian. We only have 6 division games left before we go into 2 weeks of non-division, and then we'll finish the season with 3.5 weeks of division. But let's look at the schedule for the weekend. We get the Mets and Phillies. They're going to be on ESPN Sunday night. Jerry Kuzman versus Pete Alexander on Sunday night. Both teams still in the wild card hunt. There's only about 39 games left in the regular season, so anything can happen. But that should be a big series in Philadelphia. Yankees Red Sox is always big. They're going to be on NBC tomorrow. Orioles Expos. We got Nationals and Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have lost 8 straight. They're still in the first place in the East, but they've lost 8 straight coming into this weekend. In the North, we got the Tigers and Twins. Brewers at Pirates is going to be our TBS game tomorrow night, Saturday night main event. Reds at Cubs, all 3-day games. Indians and White Sox. In the West, we got Angels and Diamondbacks. Shohei Ohtani getting the start tomorrow for the Angels. Mariners and A's. Padres Giants, big series. They're separated by 1 game. They're going to be on Xbox tonight at 10:30. And then we got Rockies at Dodgers this weekend. And in the South, we got Rays Braves, Bulls Marlins. They'll be on Xbox Sunday morning. Royals Astros. Look out for the Astros. They've won 6 straight. And the Cardinals at Rangers in the Utopian. So all eyes on that Padres Giants series. The Astros are sneaking in. They're back in a wild card hunt. It's going to be a big weekend, Stan. Of course, Stan and I are Mets fans. We know this. We're going to be looking at that Mets-Phillies series because the Mets, even though they're under 500, they're only about 6 games out of a wild card hunt right now. So it's going to be another big weekend in the Utopian baseball universe. But we got a lot to get to. Stan, did you watch the Field of Dreams game last night?
Yes, I did. I got home from City Field about 7:20, had it on the VCR, started from the beginning, so I only missed the first 20 minutes. But I did get to see the beginning of the broadcast, and you knew it was going to be a special night when Kevin Costner walked through the cornfields, and then the players did come through the cornfields. Now, a lot of naysayers, get off my lawn type of people say it's all shtick, it's not the real Field of Dreams, but it was just fantastic. If you didn't enjoy that, you're not a baseball fan. I know a lot of people are a little skeptical. There are some cynics about the whole Field of Dreams movie, but to me, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. And what they did last night was to capture the essence of baseball, the spirit of the game, and it was just fantastic. And it just goes to show that when offense plays a large part of the game, it becomes so intriguing. And the way the game ended yesterday, that 9th inning was one for the ages. And what a great way to kick this off. And on my Facebook group page, Baseball Way of Life, I did mention that I wanted this to be a traditional thing. I think it's fantastic. It's sort of like hockey with the Winter Classic. It's like one of the marquee events during the course of a regular season, and they can make that happen. They can spotlight the greatest rivalries. I know they'll probably go through all the original teams, the top 16 teams from the old school, maybe Giants, Dodgers. I have a feeling it's going to be Cubs and Cardinals next year, and we'll see how that transpires. But it's fantastic. And I think with the All-Star game in July and the Field of Dreams game in August, when baseball has the attention of all sports fans, because there's really no sports that are taking place at that time once we get back to regular sports programming where you don't have the NBA playoffs into July, etc. Baseball can really shine during these 2 months, and it'll be the center of focus of everyone watching the Field of Dreams game in August and the All-Star game in July. It's a great marketing tool for the game, but more than anything, if you're a baseball purist, it's just nice to see it in that type of environment, because I think the one thing baseball is lacking in a way is going back to the traditional ways, reflecting back on how baseball can be and how we can dream, how baseball is the game of our youth. And I think last night captured everything in that regard. So to me, like Siskel and Ebert, 2 thumbs up.
I really enjoyed it. It's funny that you mentioned the Cubs and Cardinals because that information was not supposed to get out, but I guess David Ross was interviewed yesterday, and he mentioned it and then immediately retracted it. So I think he wasn't supposed to say anything, but that is the rumor, is that the Cubs and Cardinals are going to be in the game next year. Some of my thoughts on the game, I loved it, of course. That movie means a lot to me. There's a couple things I would have changed. Not a big deal, but uh, and this has really nothing to do with Joe Buck. I'm not the biggest Joe Buck fan, but I would have liked to seen, as Keith Hernandez would say, I'd like to see the game breathe a little bit and not have commentary. I know that's unusual in 2021, but I would have just liked to seen the game, have a couple simple camera angles. I think that would have been nice for a game like that. Number two, I don't think they needed they had a scoreboard in left field. I don't think they should have had that. I think just the manual scoreboard in right would have been good. And then I noticed some things yesterday during the broadcast, like they still had walk-up music. They still had, music in between outs and stuff like that. I would have taken all of that out and just had just a baseball game. The game itself was fantastic yesterday. If they are going to continue with this and have it in August, that's great. I wouldn't even mind seeing Major League Baseball start their season at Field of Dreams and have their champions act as a home team against a team. I think that would be a great way to start the season. But I'm really excited for this to be a regular part of Major League Baseball going forward. I guess my understanding is, and I don't know the reasoning is for this, but they're going to keep the field intact, but they're going to take down everything around it, the stands, the seating area, all of that. They're going to take it down, but they're still going to have baseball activity on the actual diamond. But I would like to see that whole thing stay, but I guess it's not up to Major League Baseball for that. So, yeah, I think job well done. I give it 2 thumbs up. I think there were, I don't know, 4 lead changes, 8 homers. Really good game, really good presentation.
Well, if they
we
take
beat this. So go ahead.
if they take the stands down, what are they going to do next year? They're going to have to put them back up again. It's going to be a temporary thing every year. They got to put them back up.
Yeah, and again, this is just what I read. I'm not sure if this is official, but it doesn't take that long to put up those stands, because I think it's only like 6,000 or 8,000 seats. So, but I don't understand the reason for taking them down, because it's not like it's in the way of anything. But that is my understanding. But I would love to see it. Let's get a minor league team in there. Let's get a summer league team or something like that. I just think it was a great, last couple of days. They had some little league games there at the actual movie field. Everything about it was great. I can't be too critical about anything. I would have liked to seen, I guess, more stars from the movie involved. Maybe get Ray Liotta involved. But again, I can't be too critical. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Let's also talk. I know, and this is going to happen every show because we're Mets fans. But the Mets got a big sweep yesterday.
Well, why don't we just call it Utopian update and Mets update?
Yeah. Well, look, this is what we like talking about. The Mets
That's
got
right.
a doubleheader sweep yesterday. They swept the series. They won 3 straight against the Nationals. I think they have the Dodgers coming in.
Dodgers 3 here, then the Giants, I think 4 next week, Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
Dodgers 3 on the weekend, and then the Giants for 3, or it could be the Giants. No, I think the Giants are 4 here. But yeah, they play Sunday night. I'm almost positive they play Monday. So I'm not sure. Let's see what the schedule is.
I'm going to actually check here real quick because I know it's going to get rough.
It's one of those things where they play Sunday night and then have to fly out to the coast for a game the next day, which I'm not a big fan of. But
yeah. So they're here. They're the free game on MLB.TV tonight at 6:00. So they're hosting the Dodgers. Monday they start a series in San Francisco, and that's a 3-game series, and then they have a 4-game series in LA against the Dodgers.
Okay, and it's 3 with the Giants at Citi Field. Okay,
Yeah.
it's going to be a rough
No,
stretch, but
actually that Giants series is in San Francisco.
which
So
one?
they have the Giants series that starts Mondays in San Francisco. So they have.
Yeah, I was talking about the 24th. They had that Monday off after the West Coast game, the Dodgers. So they have 6 games at home against them and 7 on the road. So it's going to be tough.
Oh yeah, I see. Oh, so is that true? Their next 14 games are against the Dodgers and Giants?
Yeah, 13 of the
Oh my
next
goodness.
games.
You're
It's
right.
playoff
You're
atmosphere.
right. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, maybe that's how they used to do it. I know in the 60s where they used to travel to the West Coast and then have the same teams come back, or I don't know how that worked, but oh man, that's going to be crazy. Well, I think we'll know in the next 2 weeks if we're still contenders or not, but I guess
Well,
we
the
very
good
much.
news is if we survive that, the next 2 weeks we just got games against the Marlins and the Nationals. So
Yeah,
that's the good
well,
news.
that's crazy. Well, anything else you want to talk about, Sam? Because we have a new segment that we're going to be debuting at the end of the show called 5 Questions for Stan. But is there anything that happened yesterday or coming up this weekend? Are you going to be seeing any of the games this weekend?
I'm a glutton for punishment because I will tell you this, and I don't want to turn this broadcast about me, but it was one
It
of the
is
most.
about you. This is the Stan Phillips show.
Well, thank you very much, people. Thank you. Uh, it was so tiring sitting out in that heat yesterday, but we made a vow. We always plan out our games. I like to go to about 25, 30 games a year in the Mets. And we said, well, we'll come back the following day against the Dodgers. So I'll be back out there again. It's just as hot as hell out here today. But the good thing is it's one game and a night game. So I'm kind of excited to see the Dodgers tonight. And that'll be my last game at this homestand. So hopefully we get it off to a good note. And then I can just recover from this. Sometimes going to these games could be a bit work when it's like 95 and 100 degrees and you're sitting in the sun, but I love every minute of it. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't make predictions, but I always want the Mets to win. I just hope the next 13 games we win 7 games. If we can win 7 out of the 13, I think we win the pennant, to be honest with you. If we only win like 3 or 4, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be somewhere between 5 and 8 that we win. I think we overestimate the Giants and Dodgers, especially when we're going to play them here. But like I always say, you got to play the games. But I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, because we played games against Pittsburgh on the road where we just lost. So these are all professionals. Anything can happen. I always say that when the Mets play any other team. And I think any team playing the Mets got to say, hey, the Mets are professionals too. We'll win some of these games. How many? I just don't know. But like I said, if we can survive and win 6 or 7 of these games, I think the division is ours for the taking. Because like I said, I think Philadelphia is a paper team. They're kind of like the Red Sox. They'll implode after a while. I don't think they have the bullpen. I don't think they have the defense. And basically, Bryce Harper's been carrying that team for the past month. And the Braves made a lot of good acquisitions at the trade deadline, but these players aren't superstars right now. They're kind of, so it's sort of like the 2015 Mets, where they're just hoping for these guys to have a jump start and have a good 1 or 2 months, and then you can just dispose of them then. So it's kind of like a crapshoot. You hope 1 or 2 of these guys play well, but if they don't, the Braves are beatable too. I think when every team is healthy, the Braves were the team to beat, but this year it's anybody's race, and I think the Mets have as good a shot as anybody. So as far as the weekend's concerned, to me, it's the beginning of the rest of the season, and take it one game at a time and have some fun with it. How about yourself? What do you think's going to happen?
So when we get this late in the season, I try not to look at, or kind of like you, I don't really try to make too many like series predictions. I just want to like focus on tonight and get a win. I actually have to work tonight. I'm going to miss tonight's game, and I'm sorry about that because MLB.TV is actually airing it for free tonight. So I might even turn my phone off and see if there's an option to just start that game from the beginning, because I usually get home. I'm going to be getting home probably by the time it ends. Or maybe I'll just be so productive at work this morning that I won't even come in tonight. We'll see. But I'm gonna say the Mets take 2 or 3. Brewers. I don't even know who the Brewers are playing right now. I guess I should know this. I guess I'm not as big of a fan as I say I am. I think they're hosting
Well, I think they
the.
wish they were playing the Cubs again. That's for sure.
Yeah, Cubs are struggling. What is today? Stan, you're my dates
Today
guy. Is
is
today
the
the
13th,
13th?
Friday the 13th, our lucky day.
Okay, so the Brewers are Brewers are at Pittsburgh. So I think they just killed them in a series at home. I think they swept them. They outscored them like 27-6 or something. So I think the Brewers are going to sweep. I think the Mets will take 2 or 3. Before we get to our segment, I have one more question for you about the Mets. What do you wish that they do with Syndergaard when he comes back? Because I'm hearing he might be like a setup guy or a long reliever. What would you like to see him do with them?
Well, I always say if you're that good a starter when you're throwing 100 miles an hour, imagine what you can be in the bullpen. I mean, when John Smoltz, Dennis Eckersley, and there's been a few others who made the conversion, they became the best at what they did when they were relievers. I mean, they were just lights out relievers for the time they spent in the bullpen, and that basically became Eckersley's career. I think that could be the same thing with Syndergaard, where he's not a guy that's going to go 7 innings, but who does these days? He pitches 5, 6 innings. But when he throws 100 miles an hour the way he does for the first couple innings, and he's always been tough to hit in the first couple innings, that's a great move if they do put him in the bullpen, because you took a look at all the Mets starters now, even when they pitch well, how many of these guys don't even get decisions? It's up to the bullpen anyway to win these games. So to have a guy like Syndergaard, the back end of the bullpen with Diaz and Trevor May. Trevor May is another horse that's very underrated, and Aaron Loop. The Mets could be a formidable force in the bullpen. So if that's what the Mets decide to do with Syndergaard, I have no complaints at all whatsoever. Because I look at it this way: we haven't had him all year as a starter, but to have him as a bullpen guy, as an added bullpen guy, that's going to be fantastic if it does happen. And hopefully he does come back. We still got to see whether or not he comes back or not. I always said the same thing about Jacob deGrom too, but Jacob deGrom is just too damn good not to start. He's as strong in the 6th and 7th inning as in the first inning. So
I would actually like to see, and I wouldn't mind if it's the Mets at some point. I would like to see a major league team, because nobody really goes 9 anymore. It's such a rare thing, the complete game. But I want my best pitcher pitching the 9th inning. I would like to see a team at some point institute a setup where they have their closer pitch the first, their 8th inning guy pitch the second, and then I have a DeGrom, Stroman, Syndergaard enter the game in the 3rd, 4th inning and just close it. Like, just here's the ball, keep our lead, keep us close. But I want to see, Tom Brady on the field in the 4th quarter. I want to see Aaron Rodgers in the 4th quarter. I want to see the best pitchers in baseball in the 9th inning.
Well, is that you, Joey, or is that Brian Kenny speaking? Because that's what he says too all the time, that your best pitcher, your best reliever should start the game, because that's when you go through the lineup the first time with the best hitters the way you want them to be in the lineup. So if you have a lights out reliever pitching in the first inning like that, it sets the tone, because how many teams actually win the game because they score first? So if you can stop the team from scoring first with your best relievers, in this case, they wouldn't be relievers because they're not relieving anybody. They would just be, I don't know, what do you call them, designated starters? I don't even know what the word is. The openers, designated openers, like that. And you set the tone until you score, and then you bring in your best starter with a lead. And how much better is a starter pitching when he has a 2-0, 3-0 lead, as opposed to starting the game at 0-0, where he has any mistake can cost him at that point. So it's food for thought. Against really good teams, like in a playoff atmosphere, it's very well worth considering at that point. Because the other thing, too, is I think it's kind of old school where you just bring in the reliever in the 9th inning. Edwin Diaz is your best reliever, and you got bases loaded in the 5th inning, and Stroman's tiring. It's bases loaded, 1 out. Why not bring Diaz in at that point? If you're going to end up putting in your 3rd best reliever in the most critical situation in the game, what does it matter at that point? If that reliever gives up 2 runs, why not just have your best pitch in the tightest situation of the game, no matter what inning it is? So that's another thing that I'm a kind of a fan of. And Andrew Miller was that type of pitcher a few years ago. with the Indians. He didn't necessarily close the games. They just brought him in whenever it was the toughest situation in the game. They needed to get the outs at that point. So both concepts are good, and I like your idea. During the regular season, I'm not sure if it's going to put too much strain on your relievers, but I think in high leverage games like the playoffs and everything, it's definitely worth considering.
Yeah, I would like to see it as an experimentation. I mean, you asked, well, what could we call that? I just call it pitchers. I know I've heard the phrase out-getters, but all I'm saying is that I want my best guy pitching in the ninth inning. So
Right.
if we're going to institute pitch counts or be, so careful because of these elbow strains and all that, where, hey, if it looks like he's starting to tire, let's pull him in the fifth, sixth inning. I mean, the Brewers yesterday pulled Brandon Woodruff yesterday after 3 innings. He wasn't even pitching that terribly.
Yeah,
so
I disagree with a lot of that stuff because, again, now part of me is new school, part of me is old school. When you had your Sievers and your Carlins pitching 30 complete games a year, they still had ERAs under 3. Sometimes you think too much. Every pitcher is going to have a bad inning somewhere along the way. So if it's one of the first 3 innings, sometimes you just have to let them gut it out sometimes. But that's why I'm sitting here doing this, and I'm not a manager, so.
All right. Well, Stan Phillips is our guest. It's Friday. We're going to get to our new segment here. We're basically putting Stan in the hot seat. He has no idea what questions are coming his way.
And can I make a disclaimer? This is going behind the curtain with the Wizard of Oz. Joey gave me the option of actually knowing these questions beforehand. I said, no. Give it to me the way you want to give it to me. So these are unscripted, and it's true responses. And if I embarrass myself, I embarrass myself. But I'm loving every second of it. So take it away, Joey.
All right, here we go. 5 questions for Stan. Now, these aren't in any, they're numbered, but it's not like a countdown or anything. Let's get to the first question. All right, Stan, you're building a team. Give me 2 current players and 2 Hall of Famers that you're building a team with.
Okay, Hall of Famers, and they could be dead.
They can be dead.
They probably won't be productive because they're dead. It's sort of like the old Sandy Koufax. How would Sandy Koufax pitch if he was pitching today? Well, he's 80 years old. He wouldn't pitch that well. So we're assuming they're in the prime of their careers.
Absolutely.
Now, for my baseball group, I do a lot of research just so I can learn. I kind of share it with and the one thing I'm saying is Ty Cobb was a friggin' beast. I didn't realize how dominant he was, except he just didn't hit the home runs because the home run ball era wasn't there yet. Ty Cobb would have to get serious consideration for me. And then the toughest part after that is, do I want a 5-tool player or do I want the most prominent offensive player? If I want the most prominent offensive player, I'd have to go with Ruther Williams. Now, I'm going to pick my one. I'm just running this through my brain. And if I wanted the best all-around players, I would have to go with Willie Mays, and I'd have to go with it's tough at that point to just pick one after Willie Mays because Willie Mays stands out high and above everybody else. So at this point, because of the fact that there is a separation between Willie Mays and all the other 5-tool players, where I would have to make a decision between like Ted Williams and Babe Ruth, kind of lends me to think I'd go with Willie Mays. So I'd go with Willie Mays and Ty Cobb, and then you can fit other pieces in there, just average ball players who can average at their position, and you would have a winning ball club. And the 2 current players, well, Captain Obvious is going to go out to the West Coast, and he's landing his spaceship in Anaheim, and he's going to go at Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. But that's building a team, though. So you're talking about like the next 10, 15 years?
Yep.
Okay. Well, assuming that they're youngsters, it would be Trout and Ohtani. But Trout's already reaching the 30-year mark. So if not him, I'd probably go with Ronald Acuna or Juan Soto. But I'll go with Acuna because he's a better all-around ball player.
That sounds like a good team.
How about yourself?
I actually had the same 2 Hall of Famers. I had Cobb and Mays. And for the current players, I would have taken Ohtani and DeGrom. Get my pitching from the current guys, that have the most movement and can do the most things. And then give me the greatest baseball player of all time, Willie Mays. And then the guy who I think was, with Ricky Henderson, just the best run producer, because that's what it's all about, scoring runs. Give me Ty Cobb. So Cobb, Mays, Otani, and DeGrom is my four.
Yeah, I never picked pitchers, so I'm going to end up like the Anaheim, Los Angeles Angels. They'll be exciting, but they won't win. I should have considered some pitchers. So if I had to pick a pitcher, and steroids or no steroids, I might go with Roger Clemens, but he's not active, so he would have to be and he's not a Hall of Famer, so he doesn't fit the category. So it would have to be someone current. It would have to be DeGrom too.
Yeah. All right, Stan, what is your favorite non-Mets World Series ever played?
My favorite non-Mets World Series, because I was a youth at the time and obsessed with baseball at the time, it would have to be the 1975 World Series between the Reds and the Red Sox. And if you want to know the reason why, is because baseball was just becoming a novelty with the nighttime World Series. What I think 70 or 71, 71 might have been the first time they actually even televised a few night games. But I think the 75 World Series might have been the first one where it was just night games, and it became a primetime event, and they were getting mega ratings. I remember coming home from school, like so excited just due to the fact. Were you even born yet, by the way? 75.
I was born in 75, but I've seen that series many times because I own it on DVD.
Yeah, but it was just the concept. Like, it gave you something to look forward to every night when you came home from school. And to me, that's one that's etched in my brain, because it was almost like, wow, it's a special day. Like, even on a school night, I can watch the World Series. Unfortunately, now the World Series games ends like 12:30, and no kid stays up that late. Very few humans stay up that late. That's the East Coast. It's different for you guys in the Central. But I would have to say with the 75 World Series, just because it still is my I was still innocent and baseball obsessed. That was the only thing I worried about at that time, was baseball. How about yourself?
91, Braves Twins. I had no horse in the race. Two last place teams from 1990, but Game 6 and Game 7. I mean, and those are the two that people talk about, 6 and 7. But there were 5 games in that series that were won on the last at bat by the team in their last at bat of the game. But 91. And if Justin Pfeffer's watching this, I still owe him discs. I own that series too, and I gifted them to him like 12 years ago, but they're still sitting in my living room just because I'm an asshole. But we're gonna get you those discs, Justin. I might even walk to the post office today and mail those out to you. Question number 3. Now, this is appropriate for yesterday and today because you're going to be at the games. Favorite ballpark food?
Ooh, oh. Well, here's the thing: is at Citi Field, I like to try something every time I go there. And yesterday I had the pastrami on rye, and they got a guy carving it, and it's delicious. But is it my favorite? My go-to favorite food. Now, this is going to sound weird because Citi Field has a new, I guess, pizza franchise coming in. It's called Patsy's. They're New York based in the city. They only have like 6 or 7 locations in Manhattan, a couple of the boroughs. But the pizza is so good that it's very rare where I go to a Met game and don't have a slice now. So because of that fact, it would have to be Patsy's Pizza at Citi Field. It's just thin slice and it's just delicious. If you get it hot, it's fantastic. But right now, if you ask me 2 months from now when the Mets come up with a new food, it could very well be that food. But there's so many selections at Citi Food. But right now, as of August 13th, it's the pizza at Citi Field.
I can't wait to try it. It sounds good. I mean, all pizza in New York is really good. Here's a sub question. Who has the best pizza in New York? Not baseball related, but what's the best pizza in New York?
It's John's Pizzeria. There's one, the original one is in Bleecker Street. It's fantastic. And if you just Google John's Bleecker Street, I think you'll find people. You can only get a pie. You can't get a sandwich. So there were times where I was so hungry, I just wanted to go in and get a pie and take the rest home with me. But it is really good. And now they have one kind of close to where I work in Midtown. And that's the one I go to now whenever my wife and I go into the city. So it would have to be John's Pizzeria is the best.
Nice. Stan, what's the last baseball book you read?
The last baseball book I read was, I think it was Siever by Bill Madden. And it's funny you asked that because My local library, I always request books before they come out, and sometimes they get the more popular ones, they don't. So on my way to City Field, because I have to meet my friend on the train, and he lives a half hour away. I'm a half hour further away from City Field than him, so I always bring a book with me to read. So I love that's one of the reasons why I don't mind commuting to City Field. It takes me an hour and a half to get there because I get to read for at least for an hour when I'm on the train. So I took two books with me yesterday. I took the David Wright book that just came out by Anthony DeCuomo, and I have I have Jim Abbott's book. That was one of the ones that was in consideration here. But in my bag that I take to the game, why do I take a bag? Because goddamn books. I can't walk around with books when I'm at the game. So I have the new CC Sabathia book in there too. So those are my three books on the upcoming list. But the last one I read was Siever by Bill Madden. It's good because you realize that it wasn't all fun and games when Siever was with the Mets. There was a lot of backbiting, and even with Siever, there was resentment by the Mets, like he was becoming the sole symbol of the Mets, and there was a little feedback. I'm not going to say the success went to his head, but he became a little bit of an ego thing with the Mets, where he thought he was the leader. 69, everything that they say about him, the team concept, but then it started getting to his head too. So depending on what side of the story you hear, it could have been Seaver's own demise that he was let go by the Mets, or it could have been a way that they just didn't want him around anymore. But it's a good book, and I highly recommend it. And like I said, in general, I'm obsessed. Whenever I say I go on the Amazon top 100 books for baseball, the new releases coming out, I swear to God, I'm like a kid in a candy store, and I either buy them or get them from the library. But when I get them from the library, I'm like compulsive. I come home with 6 books, and my wife goes, "Okay, you're going to read one of these. Why don't you just take the other 5 back?" But but I'm obsessed that way because I say, well, in the library books, and it's not going to cost me any money. So they sit there and they look impressive. And she's right. I read like one every 2 weeks or so. But I do like to read because I do find that I learn a lot more about the game by reading books, stuff that you don't get just by following the natural flow of day-to-day baseball, the little news blurbs and all that. You learn stuff and you appreciate the game more, like the Siever book. Now I appreciate watching the Mets. We were talking about the other day, the Keith Hernandez book, and you just learn to appreciate the game more, either from watching it or just knowing the history of it. It helps you understand things better. So my public service announcement is read baseball books. You learn a lot about the game. And now, which book are you reading?
Well, I just finished Oscar Charleston. I forget the author's name. His last name is Beer, Jeremy Beer, maybe. And that was really, really well done. Boy, did I learn a lot about that. I didn't realize that Vince McMahon's grandfather owned a Negro League team years and years and years ago.
Did he promote the hell out of that like Vince McMahon? Did he get
Not in the same
people
way.
out to the ballpark? Bill Veckish?
Actually, from what I understand about the McMahon family, they're all promoters. So like his grandfather was a boxing promoter, did Negro League games. His grandfather or his father actually started the WWE in the late 50s, early 60s, but Vince just made it like global, like just bigger than anything. But it just a whole family of promoters. It's crazy.
I don't want to deviate from the baseball part of it, but Vince McMahon, and I'm not I don't like to talk politics at all, whatever.
Yeah.
But the way this country is right now, if Vince McMahon ever decides to become a politician, I think he has the ability to sweep people up and get him under his spell and become voters of his. So I just think he's one of the best. Like Bill Veck, McMahon, they can get the people. Like Bill Veck basically revived franchises wherever he went, just with his promotional activities. I think Vince McMahon would be the same thing. They're very powerful influencers in what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that statement. If he was a little bit younger, like right now, and again, I love wrestling. I haven't followed it in probably 8 years, but there was a time between like 85 and like 98 where it was one of the hottest, entertainment out there was pro wrestling. So I agree. I think he's very polarizing. He kind of reminds me a little bit of someone that was just in office anyway. Last question for Stan. What is your least favorite baseball movie?
Ooh, I see. If it was so bad, I probably forgot it already. My least favorite, the one I despise watching whenever it comes on. Uh, ooh, I'm one of those. I'm gonna take a pass on this one just due to the fact that a lot of people say the Babe with John Goodman is so bad. But when I watch it, I like it because it's so bad. So even when it's bad, I like it because it's bad. Does that make any sense at all?
It does.
So I don't think, yeah,
One of my favorite movies ever is really bad. It's called Midnight Madness. It's not a baseball movie, but it's so bad, but I love it, and I've seen it like 100 times.
yeah.
There is a baseball movie that I really can't stand, and I don't even call it a baseball movie because there's only about 6 minutes of actual baseball in it. But the third Bad News Bears, where they go to Japan, is one of the worst movies
Well,
ever. It's just
I
awful.
might agree with you on that because after the original Bad News Bears, it just kind of started going downhill from there. They kind of ran the course on that. So I would pick that. If I had to pick one, I'd go with your choice too.
I mean, I like the second one. I like the one where they go to Houston.
Yeah.
The first one is obviously a classic, but that third one is just the hottest garbage out there.
And it's not, when you start changing characters and everything like that, it's never the same. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, 5 questions with Stan. That's going to be a new Friday thing. I'm going to be joining Stan on Monday on Baseball: The Way of Life. Trivia coming up Monday. The championship at 8 o'clock. Greg, Madison, Tim, James, Geeker, and Brett. Greg is actually going to be in my home. Don't worry though; he's not going to see any of the
whoa,
answers.
whoa, 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 whoa. I find something wrong with that. That's a conflict of interest.
Well, we're not going to be in the same room. He's going to be in my room. Uh, like I have to set up a camera for him so that he can be on the air. I'm probably going to be out here, so we're not going to be next to each other. Are you still sticking with Madison winning it?
Oh, without a doubt. Like I said, and I hope Madison doesn't sue me. Some of my questions on my group site are from Madison's book. So now I'll probably get some type of certified letter in the mail asking me to go to court now or whatever. But he's the best. For him to do all that research that he did just amazes me. I mean, like I said, he's one of those people that I always say, you think you know it all? Just his book is so chock full of information. I don't know how he had the time to do all the research, but he would be my favorite. Can I ask you a question? How many questions did he get right when he competed the first time?
I don't know. Like every person got 9, and I think he got 3.
Okay, so you come up with some tough ones.
Yeah,
That's why everyone should watch. You come up with some good ones.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it too easy. I didn't want to make them too hard. I think because this is a championship, I think they're going to lean towards being a little bit tougher on Monday. But I'm really looking forward to it. Again, that's going to be Monday night, August 16th at 8 o'clock. Stan Phillips was my guest today. Stan, enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you Monday on Baseball: The Way of Life. Anything else you want to add?
No, it's great. And I just want to say, I'm not letting you off the hook. I'll have 5 questions for you on Monday. Now, the only thing is, there may be a 1 or 2 non-baseball questions. So hopefully you sleep well because you don't know what's going to be thrown at you. Maybe like a general like pop culture type of thing, or what are you into, that type of thing. So people can get to know you better because there's more to Joey than the Utopian baseball universe. I know that he's a great guy. So check him out.
There's very little more to me than that, but thanks.
Well, if we have to be honest, he's right, but I was just trying to prop him up. But watch it anyway when I give him a non-baseball question. See if he can respond to that.
Looking forward to it. So that's going to be 8:30 Eastern on Monday. Baseball: The Way of Life. One of the best, if not the best, baseball groups on Facebook. Stan, thanks for being on the show again. Everyone have a great weekend. The next time you hear my voice will be tonight at 10:30 p.m. Padres and Giants on Xbox. Game 1 of a very big series in San Francisco. Giants lead the Padres by a game. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you tonight.
Take care, everyone.
All right.